1, 2, 3, let's go. The name is Law Nation. Let's continue to grind to shine, baby. One love to all of the subscribers. Shout out to all of the real ones. Can Dak change the narrative? Let's look into the scout report. Shout out to 105.3, the fan. Turn it on, leave it on. Shout out to those boys over there. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. Salute to all of the grinders, the profilers, right? The ballers, yep. Jerry!
I want this glory.
You must be out your goddamn mind.
Come on, Cowboy Nation. Mama, there go that man again, baby. Yeah. Come on. They say, ain't no party like a cowboy party. Yeah. Come on. What if I told you that this will be a dog fight? And we got many dogs over here, baby. Come on. Shout out to everybody that's watching. Let's go. Yeah. Shout out to you, Robert. I see you, Lorenzo. Shout out to the Facebook gang. Gang. Yeah. Hey. Oh. Come on. Five, 4, 3, 2, yeah. Hey, ain't no party like a cowboy party. What about a Law Nation party? Same way too, baby. Hey, come on. I see y'all moving. Let's keep grooving to this beat, baby. Come on. Hey. All the haters do me a few favors right now. You know, there's a few of them, you know. Why don't you just lean forward just a little bit? Yeah. Don't you know that's the sound of the man working on the train? Yeah. What's up, everybody? What's good with y'all, man? It's a beautiful day. It's the Dallas Cowboys versus the 49ers this weekend, and it's a situation that we have to sit back and say to ourselves, all right, cool. Everybody had us out, and that's okay, too. And on top of that, the media on one side saying that, hey, this is what's going to happen. That's okay. Because at the end of the day, you got to lace them up and play them. Right? Shout out to you, Yolanda. Shout out to you, Swayze. Shout out to you, Addison. Appreciate you for jumping in. Kelvin, appreciate you for being part of this network here and sharing is caring. Cowboy Nation, I hope that you guys can hear me clearly. And I get it, Cowboy Nation. We can sit back and look at things and say, well, Law, this is who the Cowboys are, right? A team that everyone picking against. And I love it because when we are the underdogs, man, some crazy things happen in a good way. I know that Cowboys fan, Mayfield, appreciate you. Let's go, baby. Well, my guy, Brian Broaders, he did a scout report. But before we get into this, let's listen in to 1310, the ticket. and then I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on what they had to say about the narrative aspect of it. Dak Prescott is 1-2 in the playoff. He won one playoff game, and that was against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, when you look at the Seattle Seahawks for the 2021 season, and I do know it's 2022, but if you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they were a team that swept the 49ers, by the way. And if anybody play a certain brand of football that's similar to the Seattle Seahawks, would be the Cowboys, right? They kind of mirror one of another, right? But one can say that the Cowboys got a little bit more firepower than the Seattle Seahawks. And of course, it's any given Sunday. I know for sure that the Dallas Cowboys can look back at this thing and say, all right, we played against teams that's similar to the 49ers, and we played against teams that, can possess the same type of situation like the 49ers, and we came out victorious. Now, one thing that a lot of people, if you look at all of the games the Cowboys played in, right? If you look at all of the games the Cowboys played in, one game that we looked very terrible in, right? And that was the Denver Broncos game. Without context, you would look into that game and you would run off like, oh, my goodness. But that was, dare I say, Cowboy Nation, a game that Dak Prescott coming back from his calf injury. And I'm just adding context. These are not excuses, right? These are something that you can present and receive cash back, right? You're showing your receipt of purchase. And don't shake me with the butter knife, Cowboy Nation. I'm just trying to give you guys some ground so that you guys can utilize this stuff down the line. I don't think that, first and foremost, in that Denver Broncos game, DeMarcus Lawrence did not play, right? Also, in that game, we didn't have the Canadian, and I ain't talking about bacon. We didn't have the Canadian monster. Shout out to you, Jake Fursick. Appreciate you. I like that we are not the team that is hyped up this week. Yeah, I like that too, baby. We're not the team that everybody's hyped up. We didn't have the Navel Gallimore, the monster that he is. That's a hard beat right there, baby. All right, so we didn't have those guys out there. And, of course, all that week, my guy, CeeDee Lamb, didn't practice. Why? He rolled his ankle. And if you guys don't remember, my guy with the ham issues didn't practice all that week as well, Amari Cooper. Law, what are all of these bevies of excuses about? Well, go back and watch the game, Cowboy Nation, and you will see two crucial passes that Dak Prescott overthrew to CeeDee Lamb. They always say, man, there's a man on the moon. I think that Dak Prescott was targeting the man on the moon when he overthrew CeeDee Lamb twice. And that was in the opening and pretty much when the game wasn't that far away. And I'm using and only if it was the fifth, if Dak Prescott wasn't throwing to the man on the moon, right? The man was on the moon like, hey, I'm open. Dak, throw it my way. Dak was like, yeah, no problem. Then the game could have been a whole different situation. On top of that, momentum meant everything. We went for it on fourth down. We didn't get it. Oh, the Broncos were like, oh, y'all going to try to do that on me? And Tim Patrick was the next. I would say he turned into Megatron that game. Tim Patrick, I was like, hey, somebody throw some salt on that man. Slow him down. He's slippery. And Tim Patrick was the Tim Patrick, whatever, I think that was his name, Tim Patrick Show. And we all know what happened throughout the course of that game. And a third of the people within the locker room said, man, you know what? We needed that L. We thought that we can roll out of the bed and beat any team, and they realigned and refocused. I got mad at a few of you guys and said this wasn't a trap game, but technically the mindset of the people that were playing the football game didn't take it wholeheartedly. But I'm talking about the Broncos games, by the way. But neither here nor there. It's good that they can go back and pull from this because that's the only game that you can say the Cowboys just got whooped completely and didn't have no answer. At least when you look at the Kansas City Chiefs game, you could say if the offense woke up, then, it could have been a slugfest there. But in this audio, let's listen to my guys from 1310 The Ticket.
This is what it's all about. I was just looking and remembering that Dak does have a playoff win. What do you remember from the win that the Cowboys had in 2018 in the wild card round of the playoffs against, Mike, you remember the opponent? 2018, the Cowboys got their playoff win against?
Seattle.
Isn't that such a faded memory?
Seattle,
that they did?
right?
Yeah, it was
Okay.
Seattle.
Well, I remember the next game.
That was when the Rams ran down the Cowboys' throat.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man, I was just doing a little numbers watching with the Cowboys and thought, man, I remember the game against Detroit because that's the one where Dez ran out on the field. That was a Romo playoff win where you don't lay up at the Masters and all that stuff. And then the next week was the non-catch, Mike, that you were at, right?
I was there.
At Lambeau in Green Bay. But 2018, I don't remember that playoff game that much. Maybe we need to review Dak's lone playoff win.
Okay.
Review it.
To see how
to
he
you,
can
see,
go
Nick.
about getting another one here in these playoffs.
I don't know if we want to review the one playoff win.
Well, that's all we have, Norm.
Nearly
we don't have,
5-year career.
we don't have anything else to go
Well,
on.
but listen, Donnie, we could take the Cowboys' playoff wins in the last 20 years and do that in one segment.
Yeah, you are definitely
Appreciate
right.
y'all
We can
at the
do
room
that.
fill up.
But let's talk about Dak here because
Talk about Dak.
Yeah, the word we used a ton this season for Dak, the one used recently was slump, because what he pulled off earlier this season, he was in the MVP talk for the first, Norm, 6-7 weeks of the season?
Yeah.
6 weeks for the season.
And then he gets hurt, doesn't play the last play against New England, hurts his calf, doesn't play against Minnesota. And then he comes back the next week
Listen up,
against
Cowboy Nation.
Denver. And then that's when it kind of started looking like, man, is he okay? Like, what's going on here? He's been pretty good the last 4 games. He doesn't have an interception. He has 8, 12, 13 touchdowns and zero interceptions in his last 4 games. But one is a loss to Arizona. The other one is a very uninspiring win against the Giants, and then 2 blowouts against Washington and Philadelphia. So when you think about Dak overall this season, Norm, what's the first thing that comes to your head?
All right, so this is the thing that we got to overcome right here. As much as people would like to dissect everything, I have to remind you guys, we finna go into a playoff game that you really, when you look back at the 49ers and who they played or what have you, they didn't really dominate anyone. They made everything close. Outside of the biggest victories that they had, I believe, was the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? Write that down. And the Houston Texans. Write that down. And if you look at their collective record, I'm not finna write that down. You don't have to do that. But, and this is not no shade at the 49ers. They can only play who's on their schedule. Now, when you go back and watch the 49ers versus the Rams game, I really want you guys to pay close attention to the interceptions that Matthew Stafford threw. He threw 2 of them. And I can tell you, the 2 interceptions that he threw in that particular game, and he took a sack that pretty much he ran right into the front 4. shout out to DJ. He was a guy that really pushed the pocket inside. And Bosa is just an animal. Let's just be real with it. And Armstead, those boys, they get upfield like no other. We can look at the film and see. But I'm going to tell you guys this right here. The 2 interceptions that Matthew Stafford threw, I would tell you guys, if that was Dak Prescott, they would have reverse crucifixed him. And on top of that, they wouldn't have shanked him with the butter knife. They would have pulled out the chainsaw, the machete, and they would have sliced them up like a Ginzu knife. They would have been basically pouring alcohol all over him this week. But Stafford get the pass because if you go back and watch the 2 interceptions, he had a clean pocket. And as strong as Matthew Stafford's arm is, trust me, if you go back and watch the Rams versus the Cards when they played, I believe, in Arizona, Stafford got a cannon for an arm. I can't believe that he underthrew the ball twine in that game on those 2 interceptions with a clean pocket. He literally, if you go back, if you watch the game, show of hands in the chat, if you watch the game, you would literally say to yourself, if you watch those 2 plays, Stafford blew the game. I digress.
Pretty good overall year.
He underthrew those balls.
And again, at this stage of the season, we micro-inspect players and teams.
Sure.
And overall, he played only 16 games. He broke the Cowboy record for, passing yards in a season, touchdown passes in a season.
Not yards. He's had more yards in the season before.
Yeah, just TD.
Okay.
Yeah, just
it was the
TD
4th
passes.
best passing yardage season. Romo twice, and then Dak himself in 19.
Well, you can break those games down. You can separate them and say, "Oh, jeez," and you can separate the Cowboys' efforts, saying the Washington and Philadelphia games totally skewed the offensive stats for the season. Well, that may or may not be true. Dak overall was solid this year. He did lead the NFL with 14 fumbles, and some of them took very fortuitous bounces to get back into Cowboy hands.
He fumbled 14 times, lost 6 of them.
That's a good ratio, by the way. Bad 14
overall,
fumbles, though.
I think this is a really solid season for him. Now, greatest season ever? I'm not sure. Who are your other competitors? Romo season? Aikman season?
You can even think about the Dak season in his rookie year when he had a strong running game. Now, the yards aren't going to compare, but we talked about that then. It was, hey, man.
I'm laughing at my guy, Nick. You know Norm Hiskins, when he spit, he go, that's Norm Hiskins, man. Look, Storming Norm, man, he's one of the greatest of all time in the Dallas area, man. That's Norm Hiskins, baby. He gonna spit when he talk, you got to have the umbrella.
You're a rookie. You're forced into
Norm
this
when he
action
rant,
because Romo and Kellen Moore, they're out. We're going to limit the playbook and do what you are really good at, and we want you to be careful with the football. That seemed like that was the narrative in that first year. And then, all right, we're proving that this guy, and remember the conversations we had, Mike. Well, when Romo gets healthy, is Romo coming back? Is he the best quarterback? And I think for a while, Norm, you and I were in agreement, like, you give Romo the job back. And then week after week after week saying, well, no, I don't think you can do that now. This guy's kind of proven that he can and can be a successful starting quarterback in the NFL.
Now activated, baby.
But now as his role is expanded, saying, okay, not only do you need to just hand the ball off and not make mistakes, now you are the focal point of this offense, and this is yours, and your role expands, then there come higher expectations. And while he had a 4,900 yards in 2019, that's great. That year was really kind of dumb. As far as, man, he threw for a lot of yards, but they were down because the defense was pretty bad, and they had to outscore those guys now. and now it seems like the roles change when the defense is a little bit better. This is a good year for him, coming off an injury, and everything that's kind of going around with this team, especially with the running game not being what everyone expected to. It may not be the best in Cowboys history, but I think it's kind of up there.
I do too. The difficulty in having discussions like this is the different way NFL football was played in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. We've come to the 2000s, and the NFL says, by the rules it puts in, score, just score. 38-35 is our dream game. And the rules have changed, and I think they've helped quarterbacks. I'm going to give you, thanks to Darren who sent me this, I'm going to take you back 50 years, Donnie.
50 years.
To a quarterback season, okay? Roger Staubach,
Oh, my God.
1971 season, 50 years ago. Now, we can stop and talk about the way the NFL game was played then. You could mug wide receivers. You could just mug them. Quarterback percentages and numbers were very
I
different.
should have added this one.
In that 71 season,
Hurry up, Norm.
Staubach started 10 games. Remember back then there was the quarterback hoop competition? Who do we start here? Who plays?
Sure.
Anyway, Staubach started 10 games. He went 10-0 in those starts.
Wow.
Now, you're not going to be impressed by completing 59.7% of his passes.
Terrible Raider, right?
15 touchdowns and 4 interceptions.
That's
well,
good.
people are thinking, 15 touchdowns? Lord, they throw for 40 now. But his passer rating
Don't say
was
it, Norm.
just shy of 105, which was ginormous back then.
Right.
His interception percentage, lowest in the league, 1.9. Average yards per pass, 8.9. That led the league.
Yeah.
I mean, his season was historic, and yet we won't think of that as history because now the game's drowning in numbers.
I'll say that, well, when I say Troy Aikman, what attribute do you first think of that made
Accuracy.
him a great quarterback?
Accuracy.
Okay, right. We all think that. And we know the league has changed. Every couple years it changes. But, okay, a little mini game. What do you think his career completion percentage was? Troy Aikman. Oh, whatever. You don't have to guess. It was 61.5%.
Terrible right now.
Dak's career completion percentage is Ooh, Donnie. It's the bad one.
Oh, is it really?
The whole thing. Sorry.
Ugh.
But I am a reporter, so I have to continue with this.
Go right
information.
ahead. I give you permission.
It's 66.6%.
The decimal helps.
And then we also have a stat, interception percentage. So it's percentage of attempts that are intercepted. Troy Aikman's career interception percentage was 3.0. Dak's is 1.7. I'm not saying anything there, and it's obviously what you do on the biggest of stages, and Troy absolutely continued to do that on the biggest ones that Dak has never even sniffed. But he's proven he protects the football, which if you gave me one attribute to tap a quarterback on the shoulder with a magic wand and say, you're going to have this for your whole career, that's a pretty high one I would take, is don't turn the ball over. And he consistently doesn't, as far as interceptions at least.
But it does tell you the game has changed in those 30 years also. We talk about 50 years and how you're not going to think about Roger Staubach in 71 because the game was so different.
Right.
The game is different now. And now it's about getting the ball out quickly.
For sure.
And completing those passes and maybe not being in harm's way when they would haul it down the field there 50 and 30 years ago. And now you can see that Dak, when you talk about yards per attempt, they're the lowest of his career this year because he's not going downfield. So that helps out a ton.
It do.
Yeah.
As far as the percentage goes.
Yep. Even Aikman, which is, what,
Shout out to you,
3 years
Scott.
ago, his first 2 years, he did not inherit a very good Cowboy team. His first 2 years, he threw 36 interceptions. Yikes.
Yeah.
His last 10 years, he threw 105. And his completion percentage, those first 2 years was low. And for the last 10 years, Mike, I'm just guessing it was somewhere in the 63 to 64 range in a different area of football. And it's hard to measure this, isn't it?
Yep.
One era
it is
to the
tough.
next.
Sure.
But just the factor in that, I mean, I agree with you guys, but factor in the touchdowns then. I mean, Aikman's high was 23, and that's the only time he cracked 20. I mean, he averaged, there was a 12, a 16, a 13. They just didn't, it was a different game for sure. But I just think Dak, 37 touchdowns against 10 INTs is eye-opening. I mean,
It is.
And back that with 4,500 yards and an 11 of, he went 11-5 as a starter.
And for a month, we were asking the question, what's up?
Right.
Like,
And, for a
it
ton
doesn't
of it.
feel right.
And
it doesn't look right.
Undefeated against the division.
Sure.
Division title. 3
I should've
seed.
chopped
Like,
it all the way to
it's
this
just.
point. But I
But
appreciate
does
that.
anyone right now wait until Sunday when Dak carves them up? And
that's where the narrative is going to have to change because, you can put out all the numbers you want
Right.
to, but if they go one and done, it's going to be the same story until you have some postseason success. And that's just the name of the game, and that's what it's all about. I'm not talking about expectations because the Cowboys are supposed to be here and you have to win. No, you change that narrative because now all the accolades you've had here, all right, that's all great and done. Regular season success. The mark of a really, really good quarterback to take that next step is to win a couple of playoff games
course.
and put your team in that position to win a Super Bowl.
I just think we should have.
Without-
All right, so I should have edited and got all the way to this point. My bad, Cowboy Nation. But y'all rocking with me, baby. Yeah, baby, rock with me tonight. John Jones, appreciate you, man, for the $5 donation, man. All right, so now they get to the narrative part. My bad, Cowboy Nation. I should have edited, but y'all got a chance to listen to Norm Shishka spit, baby, But here's what they said, basically. And I'm going to just recover all what they said. Basically, football done changed in the last 30 years. One can argue the last 50 years. And football changed in the last 10 years, right? So quarterbacks now are at their all-efficient level rate now. Quarterbacks tend to not throw many interceptions. Quarterback completion percentage is out the woods, right? And on top of that, Cowboy Nation, if you think about it, the DBs on the defensive side of the coin, we can't touch the wide receivers anymore. We got a chance, literally, and for those who are still young, we got a chance to absolutely see the rule change and destroy a player. Literally, destroy a player. I'm going to say again, literally, destroy a player. Roy Williams, before they changed the rule, was a monster. Let me get one of my. Roy Williams was not garbage. He was fierce with the Cowboys. I'm talking about they was like, man, watch out. Don't pass across the middle. Roy was so good that Destiny Child, he was dating one of Destiny Child's. I forgot which one, but they were like, can you pay my bills? Yeah, they Roy. But they changed the rule, and you couldn't get physical. You couldn't knock people off. Kelly Rowland, Roy dated Kelly Rowland. Did you get a good picture of Roy Williams? Kelly Rowland, they don't match, like like those two things don't match, right? But neither here nor there. Somebody said, see, Nick said, it wasn't Beyonce. Who knew? If Roy would have got another hit on somebody before they changed the rule, and Roy would have been dating Beyonce. But they changed the rule, and you can't touch the receivers. You can't get aggressive with anybody. 5 yards down the field is not enough, man. You used to be able to squeeze them 10 yards, 13 yards down the field, right? But neither here nor there. Good morning to everybody. I appreciate y'all for rolling up in. At first I looked in there, it was like 3 people. So I'm glad I did hit the whole play button, and play through all of this. I appreciate y'all for jumping in. I thought it was just going to be us 3 up in here, but I'm glad that some people came in.
Appreciate a pretty badass season from a dude who's
coming off a
huge
catastrophic injury. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is he the comeback player of the year in the National Football League? Doesn't he almost have to be?
We all need a BFF for guidance, direction, and...
All right, so this was a bad season in a good way for Dak Prescott. Coming off of the injury and looking into this situation and saying, okay, 37-10, right? Not bad at all as far as 37 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And I need to go back because listening to those guys, hear me out. Listening to those guys, I didn't know that Dak Prescott had 14 fumbles. All right, so when I look back at the Cards game, me, the OC, Balls Cowboy, my guy Big Game James, we was talking about Tyron Smith. And Tyron Smith, if you look back at the Cards game, 2 games I want you guys to look at. The Cardinals game, I'm giving homework assignment now, Cardinals game and the Raiders game. Those 2 games were a game that Tyron Smith came back, this first game back, and he didn't present his best numbers. He looked lethargic, right? He looked like he was lost in space against those edge beaters. And he held or he launched. He didn't play with balance. He didn't play good with power to speed against those guys. He didn't put his hand placement right. And the OC, he said to me, he told me, and I don't think that, the OC have any reason to lie to kick it. But he said to me, man, hey, Tyron Smith got that old man body now as relates to offensive linemen. I said, what do you mean? And this was us. I wish I would have recorded it. This was us after we had the final word. We talked for like 15 to 20 minutes. And he said, go back and look at it. Look at the tape. Look at how his feet movement. He's worried. And I'm sitting there like, no, man, not my guy Tyron Smith. And then remember earlier this season, he was saying that, hey, it may be time to move on from Tyron Smith. And I was like, nah. And he was saying, he was speaking glowingly of Terrence Steele. Remember, if you look at some of the losses that we had, it was when the Cowboys front 5 was playing musical chairs, right? With the front 5. They kicked Terrence Steele to the left tackle, and we did the final word. We went all the way to Dak Prescott Restaurant. Shout out to Dak Prescott Restaurant. It's in the Colony. And he was going back and forth, and he was saying it may be time to go ahead and give Terrence Steele those reps. And you guys remember that video? I did Days of Future Past when Xavier was talking to, Professor X was talking to Wolverine, and Wolverine was like telling him like, this is what's going to happen in the future. And Professor X was like, I don't want your future, right? And I didn't want that for this Dallas Cowboys. But I come here to tell everybody now that the Cowboys, when you have Terrence Steele out there on the field, and I'm not saying that he's a world beater, he's just this end-all be-all, but the Cowboys were averaging 130 yards rushing a game. Let that sink in. But it was with the absence of La'el Collins. It was when Terrence Steele was playing, dare I say it, right tackle, right? I'm telling you guys, if you want to match physicality, there's no way possible in this world that I can look back and I will see Terrence Steele on the bench or driving the getaway car. I just don't see that. You got to invite him somewhere into this match. Even if you just put him at tight end and say, okay, we're going to fake run to you, we're going to fake route you, whatever it may be, inline tight end him, But here's my thing. When I look back at those two fumbles that Dak Prescott had in the Cards game, one being the script sack, Chandler Jones bent that shoulder, got around my guy, and my guy Tyron Smith was just reaching for the sky, and that was a fumble. The other one is that the guy blew around Tyron Smith. Dak Prescott climbed the pocket. The running back really picked up the blitzer through the A-gap or what have you, and Dak Prescott began to run. I think it was Isaiah Simmons who actually initially blitzed inside. And Dak Prescott is running for his life. We all want Dak Prescott to run, right? Here's Isaiah. He comes off the blocker, scoops around. I want you guys to go back and watch that film. He scoops around, and he's chasing Dak from behind. Dak is not the fastest runner of all time, by the way. And boom, he punches the ball out, turnovers. But if you go back and look at the play, you will see big Tyron Smith is literally what the song said, I put my head up on my hip, and when I dip, you dip, you dip. Tyron Smith is like this. Oh, Lord, I'm tired, baby. Count me out. He's got his hands on his hips. He's not even going downfield. Shout out to you, Brandon Ball, the Ball brother. Appreciate you. So there's something to think about there, Cowboy Nation. Here's the situation. We need guys to play through the echoes of the whistle, not put your hand up on my hip. And when I dip, you dip, we dip, baby. He was like, hey, man, they running around me today, man. This Chandler Jones and Isaiah, man, come on. So I don't want Tyron Smith, who is a legend to me, baby. Who's all American to me, who even at his age now, I would say, man, rest him for a year and bring him back, because I look at what's the guy for the L.A. Rams? He's 40, and he's still playing offensive tackle out there. So, and then you look at Trent Brown for the 49ers. He's still out there playing, and he's long in the tooth. I'm talking about a long tooth. All right. So I don't have a lot of time. I got an appointment to be at, business meeting to be at the top of the hour. So I want to rush through this. I want to play the Brian Broaddus scouting report, and I think we can get through it. I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Shout out to 105.3 The Fan. He's going to give his assessment, his raw analysis of the 49ers. It came out yesterday, so you guys should already heard it. But let's listen in to these guys.
About the 49ers, though, there's a couple of different spots where I think you can maybe take advantage of them. If Trent Williams doesn't play this football game, they're going to go with Colton McKivitz at the left tackle spot.
I like that. That'd be great.
Yeah, and I don't think Colton McKivitz, when you talk about physicality, power, all those things that Trent Williams is setting the edge, Colton McKivitz isn't that guy. And I feel like, though, there's like with him, and then Tom Compton plays the other tackle for the 49ers. So your right tackle, your left tackle, if that's the case in this football game, I like your opportunity with Randy Gregory. I like your possibilities with Lawrence working against these guys, and then kind of figure out there how you want to use if you want to use Parsons in this football game. I kind of feel like that Lakeland Tomlinson is a good player at guard for them. I think he's got some power. Alex Mack is a good center for them. They got him from Atlanta as a free agent on a while back. So this offensive line, especially with the offensive tackles, if in fact Trent Williams doesn't play, that's your advantage right there. Now, if he plays, it's a little bit different story because that's going to be, Randy going one-on-one. Randy's had his struggles with dealing with some power players. But again, I feel like you got to kind of move on these guys. I don't feel like you could stand in one spot. If they have to slant the line, if they have to do some movement, if they have to play a little twist game stunt to get these guys off balance, I kind of feel like that's what they need to do to win this game. Because, if you just sit there and line up straight up and say, okay, we're going to go toe-to-toe with these guys and make it work, I don't think that's the case, especially if Trent Williams is in the game. But with McKivitz, I think that maybe you have a little bit better advantage of Randy getting something done over there on that side.
All right, so if you guys watch multiple 49ers games versus any of their opponents, you know that we can get to the quarterback. It's their running game that's stubborn and persistent that helps them out. It's not like Garoppolo is a world beater out there. Garoppolo would say, hey, here you the ball. Hear you. If you look back at the previous game, and you don't have to watch all of the tape. If you want to watch the previous game, just go there. I believe we got edge guys like Von Miller. One can argue that our edge guys better than Von Miller, right? Collectively speaking. Now, we don't have an Aaron Donald, but I believe that if necessary, if needed, we can blitz Parsons through the gap, right? A or B, and he can get home, just like the L.A. Rams, okay? But if you go back and watch the game, there were situations whereas the Rams should have had more interceptions. Now, granted, they didn't. They utilized Debo as a weapon that I don't see any other wide receiver being used in that fashion. If you look at Debo, he's not like this guy that's going to kill you and chop you up with his route running, but promise you that if you're ready to tackle him, I saw a play, it was a -1 yard. It was a -1 yard from Debo. But he baptized him in the mighty name of his hand and pressed down on him, and then he looked over him and did like this and flexed on him. That's taking away the will. That's physicality that you have to bring to the table day in and day out. Because he embraced that challenge, the challenge of you tackling him. And what happened here is that 1 inch of breaking the will, you didn't win on that particular battle, but the war is far from over. So the next time it was time to tackle him, the guy didn't want to be embarrassed, so he go at the feet of Debo, and that's when he spins and he moves. So it's like I'm doing this to set up that, So we have to be mindful of that. If you're trying to tackle Debo and you're doing it the wrong way or the shy way, you will get embarrassed. And he will make you feel it because he's going to flex on you. If you go look at one of his other plays, it goes back for me saying this about my guy C.D. Lamb. Y'all know when C.D. Lamb get that first down, he do this. I saw Debo do the exact same thing. He get the first down, and he said, he pointed, and then it goes to show you that Debo and C.D. Lamb, they are best of buds. They say that they communicate with each other. They talk to each other about game plan and everything, and that goes a long way. So both of those boys are
in the running game. They still had a lot of success without Trent. Maybe his absence is hurt more in the passing game.
I feel like, though, in the passing game, because he's able just to kind of shut you off. In the running game out there, though, like I said, to me, McKivitz is good, but it's about when you set edges, it's about getting movement. And I don't really see the movement with this guy, and that's something that, like, okay, if you take him on, get away, get off the blocks, and then make tackles, that's where, because if Trent Williams gets his hands on you, you're generally pretty much done. That's just the way he plays. He's been like that since he was with the football team. So he's always been a guy. I think that Tank and also Randy have a little bit of an understanding of how to play him. Hopefully, if you're a Cowboy fan, you do not have to face him in this football game. We've talked plenty about the wide receivers with Deebo Samuel. He is just such a weapon. Brandon Ayuk is a really good player for two, but also this Jawan Jennings has kind of come along for them a little bit and made some plays. He was a 7th-round pick back in 2020, and he's done a pretty nice job for them making some plays. But get ready for Ayuk and get ready for Samuel to line up in the backfield. They're gonna toss him the ball. They're gonna hand him the ball. They're gonna give him the ball in jet sweeps.
Yep.
They're gonna give you all that movement, the eye candy, all those things we talked about a little bit yesterday with what you get with this Shanahan offense. They're gonna try and get you going one direction and then bring the ball back the other. Just have to completely be ready to that. Don't get fooled by all the eye candy. Play your responsibility, step up and make plays. Again, these guys could be difficult to tackle. They're like running back size guys that play wide receiver and can be difficult to bring down. I know watching the Rams game, I'm going to say they missed 19 tackles in that game. Whew. It was a tough game tackling for the Rams. Cowboys, you can't miss 19 tackles in this game. You got to find a way to get these cats on the ground.
Now, the 19 tackles didn't happen in the first quarter. If you go back and watch the first quarter of the game, if you go look and see what they were able to do, Cowboy Nation and everybody that's listening and beyond, you will see that a team rallied to the ball. They went down and chased. They made sure, if I can pull it up, let me know if y'all can see that. They made sure that they stopped the run, but the 49ers are stubborn enough. They are stubborn enough to continue to run. They don't care. They're going to continue to run at it. And you will say, those boys didn't miss tackles in the first quarter. They flew out to the ball.
I remember how devastating the jet sweep was with Tavon Austin and Todd Gurley with the Rams.
Yeah.
And that sort of eye candy. You've upgraded the talent significantly, but I don't feel that much better about the Cowboys' ability to handle it right now. Hopefully they surprise me.
Well, I tell you what, it's all going to be about just playing the assignments. I mean, when you've played against teams that have kind of given you, the read option stuff, Arizona, things like that. Just don't be fooled by these guys. Play your assignment, trust your eyes, go get the football. That's what you got to do. I mean, if you could choke the run against these guys, I swear you could beat this football team, because I'm going to make this quarterback have to play. And I've said this before. I said it when it was with the Cleveland game. Hey, you got to make Baker Mayfield play in this game. And then they run for 300 yards and he never has to play. You make Jimmy Garoppolo play in this football game, you win this football game. I like Elijah Mitchell, though, the running back they got in the 6th round of this past draft. They like to use a lot of different, like I mentioned, the receivers are running backs. Also, keep an eye on Jeffrey Wilson's another one, number 20.
East Texas.
Yeah, he's a
Elkhart.
He's a good little player for them.
And Hastings too,
and then this is a team that uses a traditional fullback. If you follow where Juszczyk goes, he'll generally take you to where the ball goes. That's something
Listen
you
to
kind
Brian
of.
Broadus. Listen, look at number 44. Look at what Broadus said. Follow the fullback. That's usually where the running back go. 44 is looking for contact. Look at 44, motion to the right. He's looking in motion left. Follow that fullback. Look, that's 3.5. That's 3.5. That's 3.5 off of that. Now, look at the sweep. Yeah, they ran in the same direction. My goodness. Follow that fullback. Pay attention to the sweep. Pay attention to the motion, man. Hey, they give you a lot of that stuff, those wrinkles, baby. They do. They do.
To keep an eye on. You also got to worry about a lot of waggles, boots, ball going one way, and then tight ends, fullback, receivers, everybody coming underneath. The Cowboys do the same thing in the passing game with the boots, the waggles, things like that. So a lot to kind of digest right there. But if you catch a break with no Trent Williams in the game, I think you got an advantage right there. Okay, we flip it over to the defensive side of the ball. I think you could throw the ball against these guys. I really do. And now they're struggling a little bit with the health of some of their cornerbacks here.
Dang it.
Josh Norman has been a guy that I was watching a bunch on tape, but they've replaced him. They've taken him out of the lineup here and said, we're not going to play with him. They have this K'Wan Williams, I think, is a really good player for them as a nickel corner. So you're going to see him a lot more in this game. And then this Ambre Thomas is a 3rd-round pick. He had an interception in the game the other day, but I kind of feel like that these guys give up a lot of space. in routes. I don't feel like they play on top of you like they really need to, or they could be physical enough with you. The safeties are two physical players. Jimmy Ward and Tart are both like kind of banger guys.
When y'all look at the film, Jimmy and Tart, I'm going to tell you, that Tart, Ryan, what number he wear? I see in the chat. Is he number 3 or something like that? That doggone Tart. That Tart come in there, and he's a little spicy. Ryan, I see we watched film last night, man. My brother Ryan, he's a diehard 49er fan. And he's number 3. Yeah, Tart number 3. Reckless abandonment. That Tart, he coming in there. He lived up to his last name. You know, he's not the sugary part of it. He's the Tart. He's coming in. And Jimmy Ward, he's been Jimmy Ward for his entire career. We all know how Jimmy get down. But they're DBs. They subject to the double move, but they play off and they give you pretty much. Let me see. They give you this coverage right here. They give you this coverage right here, and that gives them cushion. They rely on their linebackers. There's one linebacker that you will have to pay close of attention to, and they give you this concept though. But one of the linebackers that you have to pay close attention to, and shout out to the Laws, Greenlaw. 50, he's number 57, Ryan, right? Yeah, Pickle Rick, yeah, he falls. Yeah, Tart is reckless abandonment. Yeah. Warner is nasty. Warner is going to cover anything in the hook. Anything in the middle area, he got it locked down. They ain't going to send him. Greenlaw's 57. He's the agitator. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. You know, looking at him, he's going to hit you after the play, before the play, in between the play. When you get on the ground, he's going to tickle you a little bit. That's the guy, and he ain't afraid to get the defensive flag as relates to personal conduct, whatever. Great Law. Shout out, like I said, shout out to the Law. So number 57 assignment would be get to the running back on the edge and tickle him, you know. That joker there, boy. So I don't think Brian Brothers brought this up on the scouting report. But pay attention to Greenlaw.
Like to come down, tackle in the box, stuff like that. But I feel like the ball can you could take advantage of them in space, throwing the ball on them in coverage. And I kind of feel like you could take the ball over the top of both these guys. Don't be surprised if you see Dallas try and take some shots, maybe some max protection, and then throw the ball down the field, down that sidelines. You know, you got to try and loosen these guys up a little bit.
Let me say this again. I should have pulled all 22. I can't show you guys the broadcast view. I got the broadcast view, but I can't show it to you. They'll pull the channel. But like I said in the opening part of it, Stafford underthrew both of his interceptions. Both of them. Now, Mosley, he's no one to sneeze at. Don't get it twisted, Cowboy Nation. I like Mosley. He's good inside. He gets physical or what have you. But I see that you can get above him. But here's the thing. You got to make that throw. You got to. And when you look at it, the other interception that Stafford threw, my guy Odell had Thomas, second cousin, third cousin, twice removed, beat badly. He had him beat, and all he had to do is just lead him on the outside shoulder where it's nothing but the boundary, or Odell can catch it. He underthrew it, and Thomas was right there like, gotcha, game over, it's over. So you can get above those guys, and I'm quite sure, shout out to Odell Beckham, great route runner. Off of his release, Odell is one of the tops in the NFL. At the top of the route, you can call him, he's 50-50 with it, but he won. He had the guy beat. It was going to be a touchdown. Even the other play. It wasn't Cooper Kupp. It was the number 18 guy, but he had the guy beat. Both times they was over the top, and he's underthrew the ball. But let's listen to these guys.
But this defense, this secondary, you block this front with Nick Bosa and Armstead and those guys. Arden Key's involved in this. Contarius Street is another defensive tackle. These are guys that you're going to have to block. But if you can take care of that, I kind of feel like you can make some plays. Like I've said before, I like the linebacker Fred Warner. Jeff and I liked him a lot coming out of BYU as a cover guy. He's probably their best tackler on the field. So in the running game, you got to be able to handle him. He's number 54. Get a hat on him. Take care of him. Then maybe you have a little bit more success running the football. But they're going to put Armstead at that under tackle or that 3 technique. He's going to be wide on the shoulder, and it's going to be difficult. I have a feeling they're going to put him over Connor Williams. And then on the outside, maybe you see Nick Bosa over on the side with Smith, and that makes that you can't get some help on Armstead over to that side. So, just keep an eye on him. He could be a guy that could cause a lot of problems inside for you. Make sure you block him, and then you could, like I say, you can get the ball down the field.
Yeah, Josh
About
Norman
the 49ers.
do play for him, but they ain't going to let Josh Norman not even going to see the field. Avery Thomas and Mosley going to be your DBs there. Josh Norman is sitting on the bench. He just collecting the check.
Here are some early lines in the NFL.
So that's just how that goes right there. He's washed up, Cowboy Nation. So we don't get a chance. We wish we could see Josh Norman out there, but that's not happening. Unfortunately, for us to see Josh Norman out there, Cowboy Nation. But there is a situation and a chance. Let me share this because I want you guys to listen to them. And shout out to 105.3 The Fan for all of their work. Be sure to listen to those boys and get a full concept of everything. Yeah, I would love to see Josh Norman out there. All right, Cowboy Nation. My brother Ryan, he's Abba of twins up in there, and shout out to him. I think somebody broke it down. Father of twins. My brother got 2 sets of twins there, by the way. So he's in the chat. We watched film last night. Shout out to him. Yeah, they do play zone concepts. What Brian Broader said, if you can get a hat on 54, and then that would be a winning concept for us. You ain't going to get close to 54. He keep his pads clean. He know how to squeeze a knife in there. And when you're throwing the ball, he's in that middle hook area. You got to make those tight window throws in the middle of the field. That's just the reality of it. And Stafford, me and Ryan was looking at some of the plays there. He missiled that ball in there in the middle of the field. And you got to make that big boy throw. And I'm quite sure Dak Prescott can make the middle of the field throw. So this should be a game where we see a heavy usage of Cedric Wilson in the middle. If Jarwin and Schultz are utilizing and taking it underneath, we should see that. And then on top of that, once everything is loosened up, what we want to do is we want to get Tart and Ward. We want to get those boys a little bit down. We don't want them standing at the top of the roof. We want to bring them down and run the rock on them. Now, the 49ers are pretty good against the run, by the way. So I don't think that you should run at the teeth of Armstead and DJ, the big boys inside. You shouldn't try to do that. You should try to bounce it to the outside, and Bosa is no one to sneeze at. So you got to match the physicality up front and early and often. And you got to get this thing going the best way possible, Cowboy Nation. I got a meeting that I got to run off to, but I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. If you watched all the way to this point and you have not hit that like button or shared this content,
shame.
Come on.
Shame.
Come on, Cowboy Nation. Let's go, baby. Let's get up out of here. This moment is where we play football at right now on Sunday. Let's not give in to the 49ers. My brother Ryan, I love you. But, man, we're going to be enemies this Sunday. You know, I can't stand the 49ers, and I know for sure you can't stand the Cowboys. But there's no tie in this game. There will be blood shed, and I believe it may be a tight game in the first quarter and the second. But in the third and the fourth quarter, that's when we pull off. That's when we hand you guys that thought track of saying, man, we can't tackle Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard all day. They got too many weapons. Oh, my goodness. Tark gonna bite on a double move. Thomas, he's not old enough. He don't have enough wisdom to slow down Amari Cooper. You know what I'm saying? And just when you think that Deebo Samuel, he gonna get his. Yes, he gonna stiff one of my guys. But I come here to tell you beautiful people watching right now, we got a guy by the name of C. Dangerous Lamb. Now behold the Lamb, the precious Lamb, dare I say. It's time for him to rip open the 49ers defense and hand them that L. Because the media fault. It's the media fault that they've been talking about. You guys been so physical. Now it's time for the Cowboys to do this. The lamb pose that your boy Deebo Samuel did last night when we were watching the film, Ryan. It's time for the mighty Cowboys to showcase their talent. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. If you want a thing bad enough to go out there and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time and your peace and your sleep for it, if all of your desires of it makes you quite mad enough that you don't get tired of it, and it makes you hold all of the things tawdry and cheap, if life itself seems empty and useless without it, and all that you scheme and dream is about it, if you'll gladly go out there and sweat for it and fret for it, and lose all terror of man for it, if you will simply, just simply go after the thing you want with all of your capacity, strength and scarcity, with faith, hope, and confidence in third personality. The Cowboys Nation will be victorious. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. That's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. We up out of here, baby.
I ran up a check, I might do it again.
Might do it again, baby.
Had me thinking they're friends.
Yeah.
10 toes
We
down,
ain't friends.
To the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands.
Fight,
Took
baby.
so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, it's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again.
Yeah.
Add it up, bankroll.
It's a bankroll, baby.
Add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what?
God bless. Shout out to you, Sushi. Shout out to you, Ryan. Father of twins, man. My brother, man. One love to you. Shout out to you, Stephen White. Yeah. Bo Walker. Appreciate you. We up out of here, baby.